Welcome viewers. The House Select Committee referred the ex-president to the Department of Justice for prosecution on 4 charges, but The Guardian correspondent Hugo Lowell explained to MSNBC's Morning Joe that federal prosecutors will most likely attempt to make a narrow and appeal-proof case against Trump. In this video we will break it all down for you. But before we continue, please take a minute of your precious time to hit the subscribe button below and turn on the notification bell to get the latest update from us. The Oath Keepers' seditious conspiracy verdicts really come about because the government had concrete evidence that the leaders of the Oath Keepers effectively engaged in political violence to stop the peaceful transfer of power, and because it was presented in that way, and because, the Oath Keepers had a quick reaction force across the river in Virginia, Lowell said. They had weapons and ammunition, and they were texting about "we can come to the Capitol" and, bring fire support if you really need it. I think that's the kind of evidence that's convincing for a jury. It's the kind of evidence that we're missing as of yet with Trump, and that's why I think that the Justice Department is looking more at an obstruction of an official proceeding kind of thing for Trump, as opposed to, seditious conspiracy, Lowell continued. I don't think it materially makes any difference because they are still really serious felonies, and they carry lengthy prison terms, and the Justice Department doesn't like to score big home runs, they like to score single hits, and if they can find one charge that sticks with Trump, they would much prefer that. They want a sustained conviction, they just don't want a conviction, they want to sustain it upon appeal, he added, and I think he was talking about how you want to make sure it follows through all the way. They're much more likely to take a lesser charge that is more likely to be sustained than the big charge. After the convictions of additional Oath Keepers on seditious conspiracy charges, calls have grown louder to prosecute former President Donald Trump for the same alleged crime for inciting the January 6 insurrection. A freshly released single-state poll from Utah shows former President Donald Trump with a double-digit lead over Ron DeSantis if the two both run in next year's Republican presidential primary. Trump commanded 42% support, a full 13 points above DeSantis at 29%. Former Vice President Mike Pence sat in third place with 11%. Former U.S. Republicans. Liz Cheney was in fourth with 6% of support. No one else was over 3%, with U.S. Sen. Marco Rubio garnering just 2% support. Younger voters prefer Trump. He has a 24-point lead among voters aged 55 or under, with DeSantis up by 5 points with voters over the age of 55. DeSantis also leads by 5 points with male voters, but Trump holds a 29-point lead with female voters. While most educational cohorts preferred Trump, meanwhile, DeSantis was ahead with those who had postgraduate levels of education. Trump has added a stop in New Hampshire on Saturday morning before his rally that evening in South Carolina. Trump will give the keynote address at the annual meeting of the New Hampshire GOP, whose chairman, Stephen Stepanek, praised Trump's support for the state's first-in-the-nation primary status. But not every Republican is cheering Trump's return to the Granite State's campaign trail. For months, New Hampshire government Chris Sununu has stepped up his criticisms of Trump, going so far as to call him crazy last spring at a rollicking speech at the Gridiron Club. "We need to look you in the eye and kind of buy off on you as a person, even before we get to the policy," Sununu said in an interview. That's usually the most successful approach, is someone who can be on the ground, who can shake hands, be social, have real conversations, sometimes about politics and policy, sometimes about the Patriots and the Red Sox. From New Hampshire, Trump heads to South Carolina, where Government Henry McMaster will give him a warmer welcome and appear onstage with him at a rally that evening, with Senator Lindsey Graham and other top Republicans from the state's congressional delegation. Senator Tim Scott, however, isn't expected to attend. He is weighing his own presidential bid along with former government Nikki Haley, a Trump-appointed ambassador who fell out of favor with him after she criticized him for inciting the mob that sacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Please, what is your take on this? And remember to subscribe as well. Thanks for